You're trying to cancel Dave Chappelle? Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Welcome to the Rob Lett Show. I'm your host, Rob Lett. We call these segments Soapbox News. They're current events I felt compelled to get on my soapbox about. It's also your chance to get on your soapbox in our comments section. The left comes for Dave Chappelle. That's the focus of today's Soapbox News. Not a lot to unpack here today, more leftist craziness. Dave Chappelle releases a new special, and the trans community is trying to cancel him. But before we get started, I'd like you to go ahead and do a few things. First of all, like this video, subscribe to it. If you're on YouTube, to the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see a notifications bell. Click it, and it'll notify you the next time we release a new show. If you're on Rumble, though, to the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a share button. Click that button, and it'll share this video with a friend of yours who should have been here with us today. Go ahead and do all that apply right now. The reason I waited to put this show out is because sometimes you have to sit back and see how things are going to pan out. By now you already know that Netflix released a new Dave Chappelle special called The Closer. And in Dave's usual fashion, it was hilarious and he offended everybody. But in predictable fashion, the trans community got upset and tried to cancel him. But what subsequently happened is that the Netflix employees all got together and decided to walk out.
Trans woman.
This trans comedian says she found some parts of Dave Chappelle's special funny, but
It's not the fact that I'm offended that's fueling my disdain for this special. I feel like it's incorrect and it's validating very, very incorrect and harmful assumptions.
and she says could encourage harmful effects, inspiring others.
Where he has millions of viewers and he can say something that is transphobic. These people feel like they can say something that is also transphobic.
I am not saying that to say that trans women aren't women.
In The Closer, Dave Chappelle says he doesn't hate trans women, but in language that some see as transphobic, he says gender is a fact and jokes about trans women's bodies. In response, co-CEO Ted Sarandos said in an internal memo, content on screen doesn't translate to real-world harm. That only intensified the backlash.
These are expensive shows for, an hour-long stand-up set. So I think they're really attached to him as a commercial proposition.
This writer says the value of comedians such as Chappelle has Netflix caught between their audience and their employees.
So, it's about employees flexing their muscles about what kind of company they want to work at.
At the walkout outside Netflix HQ in Los Angeles, supporters called for disclaimers to be added.
To have something like Dave Chappelle's special not be noted that it's promoting discrimination and hate conversation is very hurtful.
Well, Chappelle says he'd like to see the trans and black community laughing together. Those at the rally want more investment in trans content and creators.
So let me tell you why this is all ridiculous. Because first of all, there is no such thing as a safe space. Stop it. It's free speech. Dave's been producing controversial content at least since 2003 when he had the Dave Chappelle show. Now you're trying to tell me that you want Netflix to add a warning label because you didn't know. Congratulations, trans community. You took the bait. I watched that special. Dave purposely talked about everybody in that doggone segment, but the only person that complained was you. I guarantee you if Dave Chappelle had left the trans comments out of his skit, none of the Netflix employees would be walking out and they would not be requiring a mandatory label on his content. I would say it's going to backfire on you, but it already has, because Netflix has already sided with Dave Chappelle. What this represents is a subtle display of their communist beliefs, because they believe that they can push the envelope as an employee and tell Netflix how to run their own company. To show you I'm being fair, I said the exact same thing about Monique when she tried to get everyone to boycott Netflix. If you recall, Monique tried to boycott Netflix because she said Netflix didn't offer her as much money for her comedy special as they offered other comedians. I said Monique should go sit down somewhere. If she thought she was funnier than all the people Netflix made a larger offer to, then prove it. Hit the road and let's see your ticket sales. I'm certain if you can prove that a ton of people will vote for you with their dollar, Netflix would have upped their offer. But Netflix stood their ground, and you haven't seen Monique prove them wrong either. So my message is consistent to both Monique and the trans community. Go sit down somewhere. If you don't like it, go do something on your own. Quit trying to cancel everybody. While I'm critical of Netflix's programming sometimes, I'll push all of that to the side and say I'm glad to see that they're standing with Dave Chappelle on this. I don't know what's been happening with American companies, but a lot of them have been missing something lately. I'm not going to say what it is. So kudos to Netflix. Forget the warning label. To say that a comedian is probably going to say something offensive is about as ridiculous as McDonald's having to tell you that their coffee is hot. Yes, I know McDonald's caved and did it, but it's still ridiculous. I told you there wasn't a whole lot to unpack in this session. In this session, we covered what happened. I said the trans community tried to cancel Dave Chappelle, and as a result, the Netflix employees walked out. I covered why I think it's ridiculous, because you're showing your own hypocrisy. That's what comedians do. If you're trying to assimilate into society and show that you're just like everyone else, the first step in doing that is being like everyone else and quit trying to pretend that you're special. I covered what I thought the walkout represented. I think the walkout represented a socialist sentiment to be able to crush free speech and at the same time believe that you can run someone else's company. Then I summarized everything by talking about why I love Netflix's response. I love Netflix's response because they stuck to their guns and they didn't cave. So far. And that's where I'll leave it for now. If you're new around here, our channel is both a combination of podcasts, long-form understanding of conservative principles, and soapbox news, videos where you get to get on your soapbox about the latest news of the day. Be sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who should have been here today. We'll see you next time.